Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and welcome to a Terran vs Protoss played on the brand new StarCraft 2 multiplayer balance patch. Now, these two players are known for their chaotic strategies, so I'm secretly hoping we're going to be seeing some of that here today. But first off, in the top right-hand corner, spawning in game number 1 of this best of 5 finals, playing with the blue Terran pieces, we have none other than ByuN and his opponent. Oh, here we go. It's always ByuN, man. His opponent with the red Protoss probes. We have none other than Hero. We did have an SCV out on the map, but this is just like two dogs meeting in the park. Apparently, Hero has decided to sniff the butt of the SCV. We don't judge too much, although that is some strange behavior. Either way, I'm not exactly sure what to expect from this particular series, but it was played, as I'm casting it, literally yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So these two players have been obviously practicing the new patch now for a few days. I'm sure they've been able to calculate some new strategies and maybe come up with some build orders that were previously not viable. That being said, though, I have seen moments, honestly for the both of them, but especially for ByuN lately, where ByuN has like convinced himself that it's impossible to go for any sort of aggressive build, and he just plays the most passive strategy of them all. So even though he certainly is capable of a lot of chaos, and those YOLO drops that he's very well known for, at least historically, right, where he just takes his Medivacs and he boosts into the main base, at the very least at the end of patch 5.0.14, aka the previous patch, he was playing much more cautiously. So I'm not exactly sure what flavor of ByuN we're going to be getting here today, but only time will tell. For now, it's going to be a barracks into a command center on the low ground, and we'll probably get a factory going in just a moment. Hero, likewise, of course, somebody who is perfectly capable of playing the macro game, and sometimes he does. Sometimes he really chooses to just play the macro game over and over and over again. But oftentimes, I mean, he is known for a little bit of crazy decision making, right? He's known for, well, maybe overextending, maybe overusing the all-army hotkey a little too much, but because he's got phenomenal micro, he can usually work his way out of the situation. I can't help but notice, by the way, one of the changes, I had to kind of giggle when I was thinking about the patch notes. One of the changes is that now when you use the Siege Up ability on an observer, you gain additional vision. So the Siege Up basically allows you to spot units from your opponent from a longer distance away, but it also reveals the observer. So yes, if you are very delicate and very deliberate with your observer positioning, you might be able to put him in a spot that previously wasn't viable. Are we doing a one-gate triple Nexus opener? Hero. Well, are we still going to commit to it? No, now instead we go gateways. Oh, come on, ByuN. He wanted to go 1-gate 3CC, or triple Nexus, I suppose. Yeah, they're having a conversation about something. I'm not exactly sure. I kind of wish that that probe stayed alive, if I'm being honest with you. He was going to go Stalker, Sentry, Sentry, Nexus. That's pretty nuts. Okay, we'll still go for a very fast third here regardless, but alright. Anyway, so the change with the new multiplayer balance patch, right? If you are not being super careful with your observers, you're probably better off just never sieging them up. Which means that in my mind, at the highest level, it's a direct nerf for Hero, because I can already foresee a whole load of those observers, all army hotkeyed, all in one bunch. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, what is this Hero? Super quick third? Straight into charge. So he's scouting on the other side of the map with hallucinated phoenixes. I guess he's come to the realization. By the way, ByuN faking the cloaking upgrade while actually going Banshees. Oh, that probe location is embarrassing, says ByuN. Okay, we have a in-game observer. I guess ByuN saw the probe and immediately had to give his opponent a little bit of trash talking. Hero says, yeah, I am embarrassed. Dude, this is even better than somebody in the comment section translating it after the fact. Would you look at that? Anyhow, charge first is a little bit of a funky one. Also, the energy recharge ability on the Nexus has been nerfed. So it's basically now more costly to get the energy recharge going on sentries. So Hero has solved that problem by going into double, well, very quick Banshee early on. Or, sorry, very quick Sentry early on. I find it kind of ironic that ByuN faked out the cloaking field upgrade on the Banshee, but then still went for Banshees. Like, why fake it? You're going to force a response out of your opponent. How long do you think it's going to be until Hero all army hotkeys all of his observers together? For now, it's just a single one. Hero, by the way, in case you're unfamiliar, he hotkeys differently than most pro gamers do. So it's a bit of a running joke now for the last, I don't know, 6-7 years or so. Hero's been phenomenal for a very long time. But most pro gamers have, like, set control groups for where their units go. So say you're a Terran player, Marines and Marauders always go in hotkey number 1. Hero seems to have 2 control groups for his army. Yeah, he's not going to siege them up now, because they're just going to die. They would just be visible. Hero usually has 2 control groups for his army, and he just puts whatever he's most recently been microing in one of the 2 control groups. But then at some point, you obviously have, well, clumps of units that aren't hotkeyed. You need to bring everything together in one big clump. And because he doesn't have control groups for everything like everybody else does, you end up in a situation where you all army hotkey quite frequently. So apparently what we're going to do is observer patrol. I think at the first sign of panic, we're going to see those observers join together. Now it's actually a Colossus opener, so Hero not going into... Dude, this is the most Hero game ever, man. Hero going for the strategy that's technically nerfed, not going for the strategy that everybody's complaining about, aka Storm. Instead, we're playing Colossi. Now, the Vikings are cheaper, but does ByuN even really anticipate this? Charge is already done, of course, for quite a long while as well. It's really good at cleaning up siege tanks like that. Immortals in the mix too. I really don't think ByuN can do a whole lot more. Colossus is now already available. Now we're gonna go Blink. Now we're going to go for the ranged upgrade as well for the Colossi. 4th Nexus, I think, will probably be coming up in a moment too. And so far, Hero is looking very stable. There it is. He actually decided to build it on the other side of the map. Just putting a spotter unit down over there. A couple of pylons to see incoming pushes. But so far, Hero is navigating this new patch very, very nicely. So, ByuN has seen that the opponent... This always looks a little bit cursed to me. It's totally allowed. But normally we have 2 Vikings at once or 2 Medivacs at once. Normally, you would go into Viking production pretty much right away as soon as you see the Colossus, right? For some reason, and I really don't know why, this is one of those changes that I don't know. There's a few of those in the patch notes. For some reason, Vikings are now 25 minerals cheaper than they ever were. Wait, did both of the observers go down? Wait, whoa, what happened to the observers? Oh, okay, he's just sniping them. He's just sniping them. No! You see how the observer suddenly became visible when he sieged it up? Autopilot is really strong there. I think he just notices the little blur. Yeah, he just sees the little blur. Fair enough. Okay. Thought for a second he did already bring them all the way back home. Hero apparently is totally fine, just, yeah, putting random units and structures all over the map instead of building up those observers. Losing the observers, actually, when you go for a robo-opener like this, does kind of suck. Because even though, yeah, they're not the most expensive unit, and you can rebuild them quite nicely, they take production time in the robo facility. And that is not something Hero can really, yeah, afford at this point in time. He really needs to be pumping out actual attacking units. So here goes ByuN again. He's already going into Ghosts. Ghosts are good against charge slots too. Well, they're good against everything Protoss, but usually you want them especially against Stormy Boys. But that's not the case at all. Honestly, ByuN really needs to get something done soon, because Hero is going to be running away with the victory at a moment's notice if he's given the chance. ByuN has a worse economy. He's got worse upgrades. His army is lower in tech. And all he's done so far is lose a bunch of units. Hero playing this very passively for his sake, but it's because he knows where he's at, right? Like, he knows strategically where this game is currently located, this is not a fight you're ever going to win, ByuN. Not a chance. Yeah, ByuN almost playing this on autopilot, as if everybody is always going to be going into Ghosts because you need them against High Templar, but I think in this instance, it's not really necessary. He's got 5 Vikings up in the air, nice and all. Wouldn't mind seeing a few more of those added into the mix, especially against, well, sometimes quadruple Colossi these days. Although, interestingly enough, we only have 2 Colossi, and Mr. Hero is now pumping out Immortals again, so we're going into Mass Immortal already. Honestly, the question mostly becomes, when does Hero go for an attack move? He's going into +3/+2, he's got the 5th Nexus done. Dark Shrine is coming up. I think Hero can honestly just go and win. If he can force a main engagement. ByuN has made a bunch of decisions, and none of them have really worked out in his favor. I think he's totally fine to just force a main engagement right now and see whether or not ByuN can dance. That's exactly what Hero is going to be able to get. Blinks underneath the Vikings. Oh my god. Yeah, this is an absolute bloodbath. Look away, Terran players. All of the Vikings are already pushed around. That means that the Colossi will now continue... Well, there's only 1 remaining. But the Colossus should be able to continue dealing damage. And ByuN stands absolutely no chance in the first game of this series. Next up, we find ourselves on Ultral. Let's see. Hero decides to start off this particular game by sending the probe straight across the map. Honestly, it felt like Hero wasn't even bothered by anything in that previous game. Seriously, nothing really didn't go his way. I guess he wanted to go for an even faster 3rd Nexus than he ended up going for. ByuN sniping that probe was really the only thing that ByuN got going there that sort of, well, delayed Hero's plans. But other than that, Hero just sort of, yeah, took the game and cruised along. And that's sort of what happens, right? When you're... This isn't just a Terran thing, it's just a StarCraft thing in general, where your opponent is playing very greedy, and you decide to go for a strategy that's technically good against everything. So if you go for a very average build order or a very average strategy, you end up falling behind against the greediest strategies from the opponent. Not a lot of scouting from ByuN, he simply didn't know. So he had to prepare for a lot of different situations, and that's the type of spot where Hero in particular is very, very good. And you know what? Everybody may be complaining about Storm right now. Hero didn't even make a High Templar. That's not to say he's not going to make them at all this series, but that was a, all things considered, a very normal game from Hero. So, let's see. I mean, normal as in like a relatively old school build, right? But nothing all too spicy, nothing all too fancy. Quick Nexus again on the low ground. Quick command center as well on the other side of the map. Factory will be coming up. Right now. We'll probably go into the good old Marine production here in just a moment. You can always swap them over, of course, as well, that reactor here in a moment with the factory. Maybe go for some Hellion drops or Widow Mine shenanigans, whatever you feel like. This time around, we're going to go Stalker into Stalker. Actually, one change that I am wondering if maybe should still be made, in addition to the changes that we've already had, is a hallucinated Phoenix, or I guess any hallucinated unit, vision range reduction. In that previous game, Hero was allowed to make all of those choices because he scouted out exactly what the opponent was going for. And obviously, he took a risk by going double sentry. Technically, that's quite risky against a lot of early game pressure from the Terran player. You can lose against some, well, early game pushes. Hero mixing it up over here, though, but I wouldn't have minded seeing... Okay, so we're going to go triple Stalker now into a sentry. I wouldn't have minded maybe seeing a vision range reduction on hallucinated units. Just to make the scouting a little bit more difficult. Honestly, across the board, and there has been a little bit of a push for this in the StarCraft community, and I quite like the idea. I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about it, but I do like the idea of just reducing scouting options across the board for all races. You know how back in the day especially, there were a lot of those cheesy build orders, right? We used to see people dying to Dark Templar all-ins regularly, but because the skill level is just so freaking high these days, those build orders are pretty much all negligible. Nobody really wants to gamble much. And I can't blame them. If you're playing at this level, you may as well not risk it. Charge first again, by the way, from Hero. Widowmine drop indeed is going to be heading across the map. Just 4 Stalkers together with a Sentry. Honestly, this can deal real damage. Yeah, look. Guardian Shield is not to be underestimated. Sentry is going to go down eventually. Stalker? Okay, fair enough. Not bad micro, though, from ByuN. High ground vision was lost there. As long as you can dance on the edge of the vision, it's not too bad. I think the medevac briefly considered coming back home. Should have already been on the other side of the map, but... Let's see. Really? We're gonna boost through the middle? ByuN decides to just leave all of those workers. Maybe leave one of the Widow Mines over here? Yeah. Maybe 2. Oh! Wow, we only got 2 workers. Careful, 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 careful. Okay. That was not my favorite bit of control, but I guess it's not the end of the world. One of the Widow Mines, though, did stay alive. I'm surprised he only got 2 workers there. It kind of looked like one of those... Your mineral line disappeared type of destruction moments. ByuN not getting quite as lucky as he was hoping for. Ooh, nice little bit of mineral walking there. Okay. Okay. All right. Fair. And now suddenly we end up in a position that is so much better for the Terran player than the one that we were in the previous game. Now I'm not sure how ByuN is going to capitalize on it. Charge slots are here. Can he at least kill the siege tank? Nope. SCVs will be bringing that back up to full. Supply drop. 2 depots will be finishing up. I think now ByuN has very real pushing potential. With Stimpack combat shields and +1 infantry attacks. There it is. Finishing up. Now we're in one of those positions where, with the medevac going down, at least it's going to be slightly more difficult for ByuN. But now we're in one of those positions where ByuN can actually go for a game-winning push at like minute 7. No third base. We're not gonna pull the boys. He'll probably make a 3rd command center on the back of this. Although I wouldn't mind... Yeah, there it is. I wouldn't mind seeing the boys getting pulled right now. Prism is gonna try and, at the very least, be a little bit of a nuisance, but Widow Mines are already getting set up inside of the main base. I quite like that. Good position, too. Oh, ByuN? Oh! Okay. Got a little lucky in the end. Anyways, in the meantime, he's also working away at the Nexus on the other side of the map. Siege tank has been set up. Reinforcing Terran units are now trying to deal with that little push. And, dude, this is exactly what happens, right? When you play a sloppy early game, bang, Terran can immediately close out the match. Alrighty, next up, we find ourselves on Persephone. I have fast-forwarded through the first 2 minutes of the game. Both players decided to keep their workers at home. No shenanigans, no proxy gates. ByuN is looking around, though. Obviously, he doesn't have nearly as much vision around the map as we currently do. Oh, a Stargate opener. Interesting. Okay. We don't really see a lot of Stargate builds anymore in this this matchup. I'm trying to think, has any of the... So, we used to see Phoenixes into Colossi quite frequently. Have any of the changes really made it better? So there seems to be a general consensus that Storm is buffed. But honestly, if you look at the notes, if you look at the actual changes that Blizzard made to the game, it doesn't necessarily seem like that's always the case. So... maybe Hero believes that the Storm is nerfed? Honestly, could certainly be. People on the internet like to complain, right? Well, it's one of those things where... Obviously, since Protoss players can't read, and Terran players and Zerg players complain about it, you get into one of those situations where like 2/3 of the community already complains because because they play against it, and then obviously, well, reading is hard. So it's complex in the first place, but there is certainly a chance that Hero is interpreting the changes as an overall deficit. Ooh, nicely done here by ByuN. Hero thought he had his opponent beat, but suddenly, all that really died is an Oracle. We are going to try and harass a little bit. Phoenix also joining in, by the way, which will be the follow-up. We're going to go back into Oracles? No way. Normally the idea, if I was ByuN right now, I would assume my opponent is going Mass Phoenix, either into charge slots or into Colossi. I'm not sure what the follow-up is going to be. We're going Mass Oracle and a supply block. But also Mass Oracle. So we lose the first Oracle, and Hero's like, okay, more Oracles it is. ByuN is going to scout. If he can see that an Oracle is building, no way. No way. Is it that same freaking Widow Mine? It is! Hero lost the second Oracle as well as soon as it flew in. Just like the first. Honestly, Widow Mines have been lethal so far. Come on. Come on. Another Gorgon! Maybe Hero's been playing the campaign recently. He got to the heart of the swarm missions where you have to activate the bile nests or whatever it is with a creep tumor. Warfield, send in another Gorgon. Alright. This one will be fine. Where did the Widow Mine even go? Oh, the Widow Mine's dead. Oh, sad days. Alright. So, certainly a bad position right now for Hero. Much like the previous match. The Widow Mines have been, or I guess the singular Widow Mine, has been very painful. And now suddenly, ByuN might be able to go for a push that actually works out for him, although he's decided to switch things up. If he would go for, well, Stimpak, Combat Shields, +1 infantry attacks, he's got a very real chance at finishing the game right here, right now. Sadly for ByuN at least, good for us, I suppose. That SCV tried to remove the scaffolding. There you go. This is, I guess, the StarCraft equivalent of a kill steal right over there. Anyway, ByuN, he already made the decision to make a third base. So now Stimpak, now Combat Shield's coming up. Oracle, by the way, goes back in. This time around, he did get a bit of damage. Okay. This is the Protoss strategy where you throw stuff at the opponent and you hope something works. The next thing we're going to throw is these Adepts. Oh, we're gonna throw them backwards. How boring. How plain. Anyway, if ByuN would have gone for a 2-base push like he did in the previous game, I think it would be nearly impossible for Hero to stop. But not the case, and it means that we're gonna have to see the next push coming in here from the Terran player. It'll be similar to the one that we saw in the previous game, but this time around it's later, but with a third base. Then again, though, do you really still want to go for a big push right now? Normally, Protoss players would have Storm ready to go for this particular attack. Okay, a couple of Cyclones are dying out as well. Honestly, a Viking might die? Yeah, not bad. Man, Hero is so aggressive. He's been losing everything for ages, but now he decided, you know what? We'll just keep on fighting. And honestly, since he's engaging before 1-1 and Stimpak are done, trading out units is probably about the best case scenario right now for Protoss, right? I mean, he just killed 20 SCVs. Kind of crazy. Right now, the Terran units are going to get their power spikes. 1-1 Stimpak and combat shields. But it's 13 Marines less, 2 Marauders. I think that was about the best case scenario for Hero. Doing it in the most hero-like way as well. I can't believe it. Proxy gateway in the meantime in the far bottom right. Top right and corner base is already up and running. Sometimes throwing stuff at the opponent repeatedly apparently works. Now my main concern here for Hero is that he's got no source of splash damage at all. Oh, recall? Recall? No? It was a bait. It was a bait! Nicely done by the Protoss yet again. Is this the same Protoss that YOLO'd in the 2 oracles at the earlier stages of the game? Hero is one of my favorite anime protagonists. He needs at least 4 episodes where he gets punched in the face. But it's only gonna make him stronger. He thrives in chaos. It really makes the storyline more interesting. 13 SCVs go to... Dude, we just keep throwing stuff away. The problem is, right, for Hero, or for ByuN rather, is that Hero effectively, at least in comparison, has infinite money. So, yeah, none of this is efficient, but look, there's a new Nexus coming up. This one is going to be at the gold base. Income-wise, Hero is massively ahead. Even when ByuN was mining with a whole load of mules right over here, he could still not really even up that deficit. So right now, the strat here for Hero is to not have any splash damage, but to rinse and repeat. We have 12 gateways, Stalkers and Zealots. Double Robo right now on the back of this, but already probes at the gold. Ay, ay, ay. Dude, I love watching Hero play so much. He's an absolute madman. I feel like it would be easier if you wouldn't make the game hard on yourself initially, but it's hard to not be a fan. Now, he still needs to be careful, though, because Terran is going to get 2-2. Sadly, here for ByuN, he did decide to delay the +2 attack, which is far more important than the +2 armor. Either way, in a straight-up engagement, this Terran army is still terrifying. He has a Ghost Academy. I wouldn't mind seeing a few Ghosts added into the mix to try and, well, EMP, especially these Zealots. There we go. He's thinking the same thing right now. Queues up a couple of Ghosts. By the way, we've already lost 39 Zealots right now. He's just made a whole load more. We have 33 Zealots right now and 2 Stalkers. Hero's favorite action figure is the one that has blades for arms. Huge fan of the X-Men series as well, I'm sure. God, it's a bloodbath here. An extremely cost-inefficient bloodbath, though, for Protoss. Yeah, send in a few more. Hey, would you look at that? Templar Archives and Robo Bay at the same time, together with a 6th base. Hero, we need to be careful that we don't get too carried away, man. I think Hero may have switched playlists or something. We've gone from, I mean, a more conventional previous set of games to a much more aggressive set, it seems. I'm assuming we're listening to The Pretender by the Foo Fighters right now. Send in the skeletons! Just send them forth, man. Go ahead. Bring them into the mineral lines. Oh, ByuN accidentally lifted up his own command center. He's saving up a little bit of gas now to go into Colossus production. Maybe Hero has been reading The Art of War. There we go. Pretend you're weak when you're strong. He's been warping in Zealot after Zealot after Zealot after Zealot, but now suddenly he is spending his gas on mass Colossus, mass High Templar into Archons. No Storm, by the way. He never got Storm. Okay, we're gonna send in some more Zealots. What if I said I'm not like the others? Oh. Ugh. Ugh. What a mess. He's waiting for the Colossus jump. Honestly, ByuN is doing a pretty good job here, though. Getting a planetary fortress up and going right now. It's been a difficult game for him. But I like the position from Hero quite a bit better earlier, but this is still going to be such a big Protoss army. ByuN's been in full panic defense mode for the last, well, say about 11 minutes or so of this game. Observers all sieged up, by the way. Is there enough for Protoss to just break through this? Colossi are retargeted. This one over here, though, is still working away at a reactor. More Zealots are required, man. Oh, dude, we are just sending in so many dead units. They weren't dead when they were given the command, but... Heroes made like 100 Zealots this game. Yeah, make some more. 129 Zealots have died. ByuN actually is totally fine army-wise. Look at how inconsistent that line is for Hero compared to ByuN's. ByuN is going to finish up +3/+3 in about a half-minute time. It is a very large power spike yet again for the Terran army, and that's what he's waiting for. Hero trying to see if he can end the game before that point. Making 2 more Nexi. Dude, he is... This is by far the most Zergy way to play Protoss. He's just mining minerals everywhere. And I guess with just minerals and a little bit of gas, you can make this army. Look at the Colossus, like, not even attacking the real units that they are usually supposed to be targeting. Now they do get retargeted onto the bio bowl. ByuN desperately trying to stutter step backwards. But when it rains, it pours. It's... I think the floodgates are just too far open. I don't know if ByuN can really stabilize it. Now Immortals have been produced. The Marauder production seemed to be quite high. We're going to be going into Disruptors. Everybody's complaining about High Templar and Storm, but Hero refuses to make any of them. Can't believe this. Hero really is the highest ranked Diamond League player in the world. You love to see it. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Pylon. Why use splash damage, right? Why get High Templar? Why make Colossi? Why build Disruptors? Why even go for Archons when you can make like 200 Zealots instead? Why do things the easy way when you can do them the hard way? It's character building. It's important for everybody. Sometimes you gotta do things that are difficult, not because they are necessary, but because you need to get better at them. Always choose the path of most resistance. Actually, you know what? Warping in a load of Zealots like that is really not that hard. You don't have to really think about it too much, right? It's a little bit more brain dead. The caveman style is a lot of fun. If you really enjoy playing like a caveman, though, I highly recommend you play Zerg. Zerg can basically always micro like that. You can just throw in Hydroling Man. You have to build up that eco first. Admittedly, that's the hardest part. But as somebody who's played a load of games of Zerg, I don't really know exactly how many, but many, many, many thousands. Establishing the eco is the hardest part, but when you have the eco, you can play caveman every game. It's really the ultimate way to play StarCraft 2. Unless you have to play the late game against, like, say, for example, Skytos. Say, hypothetically speaking, right? You play StarCraft 2 and for a decade, you never use spellcasters. And then at some point, a meta arrives where you need to start learning how to micro Infestors and Vipers simultaneously. That would be problematic. That would be an issue. Yeah. It would be quite hard to win the game without using spellcasters. And, well, every Zerg player that I've ever talked to always agrees that it's not our fault. It's clearly Cyril's fault for being too good at the game, okay? Every Zerg player basically always complains about Cyril being too good. And it's an admiration, but also a frustration in a way. Because they nerfed Zerg repeatedly over and over and over again, but the guy keeps winning. It's like, oh, first off, extremely impressive, but also secondly, you're making the game harder for everybody else. Oh, well. By the way, speaking of Zerg, as we do have the Stalkers coming in, a little bit of early game harassment. Cyclone ends up going down here, and we are going to continue to dance. Both players losing a little bit here in the earlier stages. Speaking of Zerg, I've been desperately looking for any Zerg versus Terran played on the new patch so far. And there have not been any. At least none that are worth noting. I downloaded every replay pack. I've got access to quite a few of them. There's a whole lot of Protoss versus Protoss. But not a whole lot of Zerg just yet. None of the top level Zergs, other than Rogue, have been participating in any of the online cups. Now, I'm sure that that will change over the next few days. And as soon as I can get my hands on a relevant Zerg versus Terran, I will certainly cast it. Siege Tank right now available though, and the Stalkers are going to have to back up. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to see some ZVT on the new patch, I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup with Microbial Shroud. Honestly, in the unit tester, Microbial Shroud versus Marine Marauder basically seems to just destroy Marine Marauder. It's really hard to say what that's going to be like, but do make sure you subscribe if you're interested in checking that game out. Or that, well, future game that exists only in my head at the moment. But that certainly has to be a reality as well, because Microbial Shroud against Marine Marauder Medevac has got to be a banger. Do make sure you subscribe. Either way, for now, it's been an eye for an eye. Both players losing a bunch of stuff. Both players donating a bunch of stuff. Protoss is now securing a third. ByuN does not have a third base just yet. He will be going into combat shields. There it is. +1 infantry attacks is already researching inside of that engineering bay. And now it's time for Hero to begin the dance. This is the most conventional way to start off as a Protoss player. Triple Gateway Blink Stalker. One Stalker in the front to try and take the hit from the Siege Tank. No bunker available right here, but we do have double blink, of course, with that prism. Nice control so far here by Hero. Calm and collected. Don't lose the prism! He lost the prism. Okay, well, that's the end of this aggression. By the way, he's following this up right now with, yeah, again, a robo play. No High Templar. How do we go from witnessing Clem rage quitting against Storm repeatedly to the Terran community then complaining about Storm being overpowered to Hero refusing to play Storm the next day? How does that make sense? Is Hero memeing? Is he having a good time? By the way, the combat shields did finish up. Lucky for ByuN in the end. That could have been a problem, but combat shields did finish. But it's so ironic to me how, on the one hand, we have Protoss players using Storm every single game and Terran players complaining about it. Hero is just doing his own thing. Living Protoss in isolation. Darwin already foresaw this a long time ago, man. When you have the same animal living apart in different locations, right? And they are separated for a long period of time. At some point, that will change. Hero clearly believes that Storm is not really the way to go in this matchup and decides to play a Robo instead. Now, admittedly, he has already been doing this for some time. He's been doing it as well on the previous patch. This, in my mind, is a strategy, though, that got nerfed because the Viking is slightly cheaper. But it's so ironic how, on the one hand, we have Protoss players that think that the new Storm is a huge buff. And then it seems that, on the other hand, we have Protoss players that think the new Storm is a nerf. How does it work? Who's right? Who's wrong? Only time will tell. ByuN autopiloting into Ghosts yet again, by the way. Ghosts are obviously always pretty good. But he hasn't really been looking around the map for ages. He doesn't know that he's playing against a Colossus follow-up yet again. I don't think he's seen the Colossi. And that means that Hero can try and march these units across the map and get some real damage done. Templar Archives coming up. Previously he made one, but it was only for Archons. Are we going to make Storm this time around? Yes or no? I don't think so. No, we're going Disruptors. I highly doubt it. Hero hoping that he can maybe catch the move out right here of the Terran player. He's like, hey, I'm just a group of Stalkers. Come and chase me. Not the case. 4th Command Center building right now, and we're going to be seeing a 5th Nexus in just a moment here for the Protoss player too. Extra gases added into the mix. Oh, Stalkers, by the way. Debate! 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 Ah. I believe that's the first time that ByuN realizes exactly what he's playing against. It seems that most of the top-level Terran players lately have been playing relatively cautiously, though. There's almost like a lack of confidence in my mind. We don't really see a lot of Mass Liberator play. We don't really see a lot of timing attacks. We see a lot of this. So ByuN's almost like playing a SimCity game by himself. Not scouting, just sort of keeping, his own bases alive, but not really putting in any counter pressure. No medevac drops that are trying to sneak out. We don't really see any multi-pronged aggression. We just see these big balls of Terran units that try to move across the map, and then when it doesn't work, they lose. Is this really the way to play the game? It's all this, like, mixed strategy approach, right? It's none of the mass command center. Like, we're not really playing a passive turtle game either. We're not really going into a mass command center style at the same time either. We're just kind of playing this middle-of-the-road approach, and in my mind, it never is the correct way to play. I feel like in StarCraft, it's never really been good to try and do a little bit of everything. You pretty much always get punished for it. Hero is already a full base up on the opponent. This expansion getting denied is exactly that. Nice force fields. Okay, good control here, of course, by ByuN, but it's difficult to go down the ramp. Zealot warp in right over here. Proxy gateway finishing up as well to speed up the warp in some more. These units are going to be running into the natural. +1/+1. Ship weapons level 1 finishing up. Hero is going to try and make a move once again. We did have a good EMP. Vikings are working away at the Colossi. The Zealots, though, themselves are charging at these units and dealing so much damage. Immortals in the back also creating all kinds of issues. Now Dark Templar are sneaking into the natural, sneaking into the main base too. Chaos all over the map. ByuN, though, is winning the main engagement, and that's good. A couple of force fields over here. No, we're going to go into some Guardian shields instead. Reinforcing Zealots are showing up. Hero playing this a little bit more calmly than the previous game, but he's still trying to guide this game in a similar direction. To be able to flood the map with expansions, flood the map with economy, and then just send in the skeletons yet again. Synchronized slicing. SCVs are dropping like flies. Finally, the command center is secured, but the question is, at what cost? ByuN is falling apart. Landed Vikings are being killed by Disruptors. We do have some fancy pickup micro on the Marines and the Marauders, but there is just no stopping Hero. And in the end, it's the Protoss player who obtains the victory in this finals 3-1. Nicely done by Hero, honestly. There's just this confidence, right? When you see Hero play, it's clear that he's not really intimidated by any of the things that ByuN is throwing at him, and he's had a plan from the very start, and he's executing on it. I feel like, at least in the games that I've seen so far from Terran's new patch, They're all a little bit too cautious. They're all a little bit too careful. And maybe it's because Terran's just impossible to play right now against Protoss. That could be. But I also feel like they're not really creating a ton of opportunities for themselves.